All right, good evening, everybody. Tonight is September 17th. It's the monthly meeting for the school building committee. First item on the agenda would be MSBA updates from Jeff will present that.
Sure. So a couple updates. So the MSBA is they've received their proposal. They've come back with initial comments and questions. We've sent some answers back there asking about what some of the elements on the budget are and just clarifying a couple of things. They've asked some questions about FF&E. So just natural cost questions that are going back and forth. I've asked if we have a date as to when we can have our meeting so we can get the final number. They said they're working on it. I do know that they're very busy at the moment, that there's a lot of projects that submitted at this August deadline. And so they are, a little backlogged, as I kind of warned you guys they would be. But, we are still on track. And so between now and the next 3 weeks, we'll have the number, which is kind of the first week of October. And we're trying to dial that in overall. The other part I did want to kind of bring to your attention is good news, bad news, I guess, how to phrase it. So the MSBA voted to increase the overall funding for all projects in 2026 that get approved and funded in 2026. And so that happened the day before we submitted your project application on August 27th. We submitted on August 28th. The cart had already left the gate at that point, so we went forward and submitted it. Um, if you were to try and kind of slow the process down to get to that money, would have had to delay 4 months and then would have delayed the ultimate funding vote into June of the June town meeting, sorry, May town meeting, right? So that would be a 6 month delay to the project. If you did that, we would have recommended you kind of did an escalating value of about a half a year, which is about 1.5%. So on a $98 million job, you're adding another $1 million to the overall number. I did run the math on what that kind of looks like because the question did come up. What does that mean to us? Because I think naturally the public will ask about it when they're aware of that. Um, the MSBA doesn't have a spreadsheet yet for that, so I had to kind of back calculate it based on what they said they were going to change. The things that go up, and I put it in your packet. I can kind of walk you guys through it if you want. But the net of that is it doesn't currently affect you guys, but the other 8 towns that have submitted along with you guys that are not going to receive the money because your vote happens before February of 2026 have reached out to Mike Kaczynski saying, hey, we want to send a letter into the MSBA asking them to reconsider that. Would you please make that effective immediately versus a 6 month delay to the increase in funding? And so Mike received that request from his counterparts. I think it was North Andover or somewhere was leading the charge today. Mike can comment on that more specifically, but just in simplistic terms, I'll show you the math, and then we can take any questions on that. Loading this up. Hang on a sec. Getting there. Sorry. Sorry for the dead air. All right, so you guys have seen this slide before. It's the MSBA caps, things that are categorically ineligible, things that exceed the caps, and then spaces that exceed the guideline. You did a lot of work to get the gym size back down, all these other things. We addressed item 3, and we also kind of addressed item 1. We don't have athletic fields and stadiums and things like that. So the thing that was left to kind of shape was the kind of the MSBA caps, right? We don't really have control of that. Things that are categorically ineligible, I highlighted in red here, the kind of legal fees, utility company back charges, permits, local stuff, local peer review fees, site remediation, asbestos, floor tiles, and then district offices. So none of that's changed. Items in black don't affect your project because you don't have those things as part of the overall ask for bringing a town meeting. This is the current thing, which is what you guys are under. So current in 2025. If we're over 20% of the soft cost, they cap that out. You are not. They cap out the OPM at 3.5% of $550 a square foot of construction and designer at 10% of $550 a square foot. They cap the building cost at $550 a square foot. Building site cost was at essentially 10%, which was 55. And then students, technology for FF&E and technology have never changed in the 15 years we've been doing this. The MSBA had stayed at that 1,200 a student. And then change orders had gone up to 2%. And under your program, all eligible demo and abatement costs are eligible. And so that's a big deal for you guys because of the, the amount of building we're demolishing here. The new program, these are the changes in green. And so essentially what they did is they increased the building cost from 550 to 605. Site went up to 12%, so that jumped from 55 to 73. So they then roll that up to 678 and affect that by the OPM and the designer caps. FF&E jumped up a fair bit, and then technology jumped up a fair bit, but the demo and abatement went down. So they used to accept all demo and abatement, and now they're capping that at $42 a square foot of the piece of the building that's being demolished. So in your case, it's about 31,000 square feet. So if they did allow you in, all these elements at the top, would help, and then this element at the bottom would hurt. And so ultimately what that means is, when I kind of run it through the calculator, it's about $1,000,001 there's potentially on the table. Currently I included the memo in the packet. You guys are not eligible, but if you want to join forces with the other towns and write a request letter, you can do that. I mean, I don't think it's worthwhile to delay the project 6 months and go to town meeting and add all the escalation in. It's not really a fruitful exercise and you lose the momentum you have trying to game the system. So I wouldn't recommend that, but those are entirely your guys' decisions. But it may be worth requesting the letter. So I kind of turn that back to Mike or Rich if you want to say anything about it.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. Just to talk about that briefly, I did just get this email earlier today from the town manager of North Andover, just asking the other towns in this group. I think there are 8 towns that would be in this group that would just miss that benefit. I think in addition to North Andover, it's Stockbridge, East Bridgewater, West Bridgewater, Lexington, Rochester, and Littleton. All fall in that group. So I see no drawback in sending a letter requesting that they consider adding these projects to that. But I share Jeff's concern about waiting, because certainly the momentum and the time frame could be problematic, and the escalation costs are certainly something to be considered.
No, and I agree 100%. I think, I think we put the letter forwards, we see what they have to say. I think stopping would be not in our best interest.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. So if you guys have any questions, you can let me know if, afterwards, but that's kind of the update on that. And we're just waiting for our meeting for whatever the reimbursement value is, which, we projected to be over 50% in the effective reimbursement. So I think we're in a good position there. Most of the rest of the agenda is really talking points. Like I'm going to go through the schedule, but really, tonight's about a conversation, and I'd thrown up on the agenda just a couple of things so that we didn't lose track of it to make sure we kind of hit on it. But the agenda here that was kind of before you guys was that. But really kind of what I'm looking to hear from this committee here is, what's the feedback? What's the scuttlebutt that we need to talk about? What types of information do we need to add to the website? I have updated the whole website. So right now the updated design documents are on there. The updated cost information is on there. The the schematic design submittal has been uploaded. So the information is available. What we do need to do, as a group is develop FAQs, frequently asked questions. And so, as you guys get questions, you can kind of funnel them back to the chair and myself to kind of aggregate that, and we can do some draft responses and then decide what's ready to go up on the website and when. We should also talk about community forums today, and the timing of that and the content of that. And then just the schedule where it exists today, and then discuss any pre-town meeting requirements, such as meeting with the capital planning committee, and then any other public comments. So I'm just going to go to the work plan, then I'm going to open this back up to kind of dialogue to talk about all these items. But from a work plan standpoint, I included this in your packet. Here we are tonight talking about the things we're talking about. Right now, we're penciled in, or maybe penned in, for the Capital Planning Committee meeting on September 30th. That's an in-person meeting at Town Hall. We're going to talk about scope, schedule, and budget there. We'll also have a draft of the tax impact to talk with that group. As I noted, that budget review with the MSBA is somewhere at the end of September, first week of October. We've outlined some potential public forums that I want to talk about tonight. So at the work group, we identified October 14th as a fully virtual meeting for the first one, talking about the same thing. We'll have a package presentation about budget, scope, schedule, and the tax impact. Those of you on the committee have reached out to the, Glen Ellen group and have got a meeting scheduled them for October 22nd, which is your next building committee meeting. So we were looking to talk to you tonight about bumping that to a different date so that we could accept that invite from Glen Ellen to talk to them. And then we had another forum. We were thinking October 28th, really and we were talking about maybe doing the high school library because the town library was not available. And we were talking about doing that hybrid. We don't want to do it in the auditorium. A hybrid does not work out in a venue of that size. It's got to be more intimate and small. So we're going to have to kick the tires on what that looks like with the high school IT so that it's an effective presentation. But really, we kind of want to, hit these kind of hard the whole month of October and then regroup, right? If there's information to be had, let's figure that out. Let's adjust and let's, then have another one potentially the first week of November, kind of heading into town meeting. So that's a kind of a to be determined date. You guys can choose to have one at this point, or you can just choose to do road shows. What a road show is kind of a subset package of what we're going to present to the community forum, where you guys break off, two at a time and kind of, go to where the people are, if you will, coffee chats, other organizations in town, Lions Club, whatever exists in your town that you guys could get to kind of, bring them up to speed, and divide and conquer essentially. And then that all culminates with a town meeting on November 10th. All fingers crossed that's successful. We'll get back together on October 19th to kind of recap, see what additional efforts are needed kind of heading into the ballot vote of December 8th. And if all is good there, we'll meet back together by the middle of December to approve your design and OPM consultants to move forward with the overall project. So that is the kind of schedule we've laid out to date. It's there for you guys to pick at, add to, take away from, and it's really just an open discussion tonight. So that's kind of it for our formal agenda.
So I think the first thing we got to do is get that next meeting date to replace the 22nd. So I don't know if anyone had a chance to take a look at their calendar. So the day before the 21st would work. I'm not sure how that works with everybody, which is a Tuesday.
I will be out of the country from the 21st to the 28th.
We have a school committee meeting.
Okay,
on that
that's
day.
fine. So we want to try prior to that then? We could do what's the 15th? The 15th is a possibility. Does that work for everybody? That's a Wednesday?
Works for me.
I'll be out of town, but I'm not on the committee. I just attend. So, but Ellen can
Okay.
probably attend at my place.
Is everyone else good with the 15th?
I'm
We have
good.
a working group meeting that day. Is it okay
Right.
to have both?
Sure.
Okay.
All right, so we'll add that in so that would be the SBC meeting on the 15th.
Okay. So as far as like I said, at this point, the kind of baton's back to you guys as a committee, right? The consultants have done their work. We're here to support you in this effort, but really it's up to you to kind of go forth and, build the base, if you will. So you let us know what you need for support. Typically we kind of do these 2 community forums. We've added another one for Glen Ellen. Happy to do more if it's necessary, but we also want you to kind of go out there and reach out to these individual groups, right? And make inroads with them and, essentially find people that are willing to champion the project to help go to these other groups as well.
I think also we ought to probably just, like you said, the one in November, I think we ought to just put in a placeholder there. Just so
Sure.
we have it, whether we use it or not, then that could be decided later.
Rich,
By
I
the
think
way-
we need to talk to the PAC because they're
Yeah.
planning coffees and teas
Oh,
locally.
no, I agree. Yeah, no, I agree with that 100%. No, I'm thinking but just setting meetings, I think for the SBC, I think we ought to set one for November. Election day is the 4th, which is a Tuesday. Could we do another Wednesday, maybe? The 5th?
Yeah,
just to put it in as a tentative.
Was that for a public forum or an SBC meeting? Because I thought I
SBC.
saw SBC was the 19th.
SBC, I was suggesting the 19th.
Okay. So that would be the 19th, sorry. So that would be a public forum?
Yeah, that was the one that didn't have a date associated with it. but you
Okay,
could-
all right.
you
So
could-
let's set that up for, I'd still say the 5th.
Yeah, I think that's good because the other two are on a Tuesday. At least it's a different day of the week. The 5th being a Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
Are we
Okay,
thinking
we'll
that that's gonna be in person or a hybrid one?
Let's put it as in person for now, and then we could always drop back. Hybrid's a lot easier, or even Zoom. It depends on what happens, you know what I mean?
I would just make a note, and it may not be a problem at all, but that is most likely the night for the finance committee's pre-town meeting.
Mhm.
I would.
That Ellen and I and Aaron will not be there.
I mean, in the absence of so it's entirely up to you, Rich, and whatever you guys want to do, hybrid or in person or virtual only. I'll say that, you're trying to catch the maximum amount of people, so virtual tends to be more accessible, leading up to town meeting, but entirely up to you, whatever way you guys want to do it.
Sure. That's fine. Well, I'd say we still hold the 5th, and we could do it as virtual.
Okay.
So
And
that's the
you-
5th, Rich?
Yeah, placeholder.
Yep.
Okay, at least that way, like I said, we have them as placeholders. We can work from there. And back to your comment, Diane. Yes, I agree. I mean, the parents group is working on outreach. I think we ought to coordinate with them. I have contacts in the Lions Club. We could do that. You and I had talked about, possibly going to the senior center. We're obviously going to Glen Ellen. So that'll be out there. I think it's the more, outreach and person to person that's going to make the big difference on this. And then Craig will lead he's going to lead the charge on replying to all the Facebook posts.
Well, I'd also like to go to the senior center. That's a big one.
Yeah.
And I think that we're going to, at that point, be heavy into the cost. And that's why I'm concerned about meeting on the same night as pre-town meeting. You won't have anybody from the select board talking about what the tax rate increase will be if you meet on what date was pre-town meeting, Mike?
The
That
5th?
was Wednesday, November 5th.
Yeah, you won't have anybody from the select board there to talk about the tax increase or anything else about that. And that's an area that's highly sensitive, and it's an area that, it is a select board that does better with those questions, and the
So
group
do
that's
we-
charged with.
No, so that's fine. You want to change it to the Thursday?
Yes,
Okay.
I could do the 6th for sure.
All right, we'll switch that to the 6th. We'll just change it a day.
Works for me.
Okie dokie.
So, my question is to Mike and Rich, or to all you, what other pre-town meeting support do you need from the project consultants? So we know, I'm aware of the capital planning committee meeting, and then obviously town meeting itself. Are there other meetings that you need the, TAPE or Vertex to attend?
I would imagine the finance committee may want some type of presentation in October. But I'd have to consult with the chair of the finance committee about that.
Yeah, I would imagine they do too. They usually don't ask for that until 2 weeks before. So I would assume that we would be asked to present to there.
Okay.
So maybe I would say if you're looking for a possible date when the finance committee may ask you to come in, I would say probably like October 22nd.
It's the same day we're going to be theoretically at Glen Ellen.
Oh, that's not good.
Well,
Yeah, steer them away from the 22nd because I'll attend the finance committee meeting as well.
So they usually meet on Wednesdays, so it would be some Wednesday in October. I mean, I'm certainly sure they would work with you on that.
Yeah, I think so. I'll reach out to John Law and see if we could do it any date. They could do it any date other than the 22nd.
He'll be at capital planning, will he not?
He's no longer a member of the capital planning committee.
Oh.
Their new member, Eric Marthinson, is the new
Okay.
representative. But John is very reachable, John Law, so certainly could,
Yeah, I'll reach out to him tomorrow. I'll just
Okay.
let's get ahead of it and say, hey, listen, is there a way you guys could work with us on that and not do the 22nd?
All right, so you may need to bump if they only want Wednesdays, you might need to bump your meeting again from the 15th to an alternate date. So you can either figure that back up now or do a doodle poll or whatever, or have Kim coordinate.
Yeah, I don't know if they can, I don't know what, I'm out the week of the 13th, the 17th for the most part, but that for the finance committee, if they're looking for, depending who they want to attend from the select board, that's a week I can't do it.
October 8th may be a workable date for them, but again, I need to confirm that.
Yeah.
before.
Absolutely.
Well, the only problem, well, as long as I don't have to be, I'm out of town until the 12th.
All
So-
vacations are canceled. It's simple.
Yeah, well, tell my wife that. She's loading the gun now.
Yeah, mine's a work trip, so.
I'll let you guys all work it out amongst yourselves.
In the future or go on this trip.
Craig,
you
which
can reach out
week
to
is
John.
bad for you?
The week, the 13th to 17th,
October, right?
October, yeah. I'm just not available at all that week to speak of.
And Rich is out
The
the
first,
second to the
yeah,
16th, right?
exactly, yep. The 13th, I'm back.
Okay.
All right, well, we'll have to coordinate that, so that should be
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah, so beyond the public, so I think that would be it that we know of right now, Jeff, for meetings that we need you guys at.
Okay. That works for me. So like I said, the website is live. If you guys have questions, and you want things up there, just kind of funnel them back to us. We'll get that updated for you. And other than that, like today was really just a discussion point. We kind of hit on the points that I needed to ask you about. But if there are things that you've already heard that you need to make sure make it up on the website or onto FAQs, by all means, present them forward. The project does have an email address. So far, nothing's really been coming into it as of late. But I expect that'll probably uptick, as people kind of get more engaged, and so we can respond to those questions as they come in as well.
Okay.
Yeah, Diane, if I remember last time, I mean, it's slow, and then towards the end it becomes frantic. So that's
Yeah. By mid-October, it's gonna be like a fire hose, but the next 4 weeks will be kind of a trickle, right?
Yeah.
And so that's just what we got to prepare for.
And the PAC is putting out their brochure, which talks about a range for households of cost. Because we know that the cost of the building is, based on what Jeff sent, was 58 million to the town up to 64 million to the town, in that range. And interest rates are 4.5% still, but they just dropped a quarter point. And we're going to bond this in about 3 years. And we used a range of 4.5 to 3.5 for the interest rate range. And depending on how you mix those things, it gave a range of total cost for an average home in the $890 to $1,100 range, depending on, the high cost, high interest rates, or low cost, low interest rates. So all the homes will fall, well, the $605,000 average assessed value home will be hit someplace between $890 and $1,100, $1,103. So that's the number that they're putting in the brochure. They're going to start distributing and handing out. Once we get the final numbers, we'll amend all the brochure documents to talk about the exact cost with an interest rate spread, because the interest rate spread is a real thing. And as the town grows, as our assessed value grows from 2,230,000,000, as that goes up, the cost per household comes down also. So there's a lot of variables that go in between now and when this thing is actually bonded. And Millis grew, what was it, Mike, 20% in the last 3 years, or was that 5 years?
I think the last 5 years we were, I'd have to check the statistics again, but we were definitely in the top 10 as a percentage of growth in the Commonwealth.
Of our total valuation. So our total valuation grew 20% in 5 years. It's reasonable to believe it's going to grow 5, 6, or 7% in 3 years, is my bet, you know? So that just reduces the cost per household. It spreads it differently. So as more houses come in.
Greg, whatever happened to the idea of putting all the loans in one bucket?
Can't really do that, but we can stagger payment schedules and stuff, and we will have a detailed schedule when things fall off. So we'll be able to talk about between now and 3 years from now, we lose X millions of dollars of loans that are paid off. And that will basically reduce the increase that we're going to have, you know, because that's stuff we're paying today. So there are some other creative things we can do, Jody's, but it's not going to be able to be refinanced. That's not going to work the way I was under the impression it could. So, but
Is it still flat?
We can't keep it flat. It's going to go up something, but it'll stay flat after that. You know, this is a level principal. This is a level payment loan, not a level principal payment. So that means that the people that pay today are going to be paying the same as the people that pay 28 years from now.
Okay.
It used to be the people that paid today paid exorbitant amounts, and in
Right.
28 years, you're paying only the last remaining 1/28 of the principal. So it's a much more equitable way to do it. But I was really pleased with the state contribution and interest rates falling potentially. You know, to say between $890 and $1,100 is a great place to be for this project. So good job to the committee to get those costs down, Jeff. Good job on that one, and we'll see if the Fed comes through with 2 more rate cuts.
Now, Craig, I know that a lot of people who are probably a no feel that the issues with the school building right now are over exaggerated, and obviously don't believe that, or are not even thinking bigger of what having to do these changes or these improvements over 10 years is even a realistic thing to them. Would it be beneficial if we had the PAC also have a slide, or I don't know if Jeff, you guys can create a slide of everything that, you know, needs to be done, and how we have the range, Craig, of 3 to 4%, what it would be per household, if we can kind of come up with an idea of what it would potentially cost residents over, you know, the next 10 years.
And Jeff did provide a list of 76 million. I can't say million. $76 million of renovations that needed to be done. So there is a detailed list that exists. And we ran those same numbers using the same interest rate spread and the same, you know, the high one was, you know, 86 with the state paying 4 million. So that dropped it to 82. The other one was 76 million. One was phased over 10 years. But if you did that range was between 1,167 and 1,413. So it was more expensive by far to do it that way, you know, and with no real benefit. So we do have that number as well. We can talk about the real cost savings that are incurred by doing it, doing the right project.
Yes, I just think that it's a message that people need to have kind of in their faces constantly, that this is going to happen no matter what. These things need to be fixed, and this is the cost benefit of doing it now.
I mean, the high cost of the project that we're proposing is $64 less than the low cost of the Band-Aid, yeah, per household. And the high cost is $410 higher. So it's a significant savings. If we come in on the low end of our estimates, it's even more. And the
to-
estimate is the interest rate calculation.
And to the point is, like, because we had anticipated, that question would be brought up of, or was the sky falling? And, the roof is leaking, the windows are leaking. So those are facts. There are some things, like the switchgear. We could ignore the switchgear. That's one thing that, okay, we don't do that. But if there is a failure, we're really screwed because that'll be millions of dollars because we'll have to kick everybody out or figure out a way to power the building otherwise. So,
Oh, yeah.
know,
And you don't
there's
need
some-
to sell me on it. I just
Yeah, yeah.
feel like we need the PAC to be
promoting.
getting that data and information out there to the people. And another thing that I keep hearing is that people don't believe that CFB came in under budget. So if we can somehow have some sort of communication ready for that as well, that explains that. That's just some ththings that I'm hearing.
No, and that's all good. And like same thing, we did anticipate the first parts on, the sky is falling and all that. And, this is more of a planned approach. It is a cost conscious approach. So, when you get into the point where something's an emergency, you pay more. And that's part of the thing why we try to cognizantly, think everything through and do it as a project versus having to put Band-Aids on stuff. And Jeff was going to say something, but I cut him off. Clyde Brown, I think, Jeff?
No, I was just taking a note. I pulled that up. It's a great point, Shana, to have the track record, if you will, of how we handled the law school and the $4 million that we were under by a couple $1 million at bid day, and then finished a couple $1 million below that at the end of the job. And we should just have that up on the website to show track
Right.
record.
That'd be great.
That's a
Thank
real
you.
good point.
And we finished on time.
We finished on time.
Are there urgent items, emergency or urgent items at the building today that need to be addressed, and what's the price tag on it? Because people could, we could ignore some things. People could not vote the funds. Not the right thing to do, but is there a case to be made that says, we got to spend 15 million, picking a number, on critical items that have to get addressed today?
I would say the HVAC, for me, the HVAC is the biggest because you go up on the second floor on a warm day and kids cannot learn and teachers cannot teach. And that's, and the roof leaks and all that stuff. Teachers can have been teaching through that, but the HVAC is, to me, it's the worst part of the building.
Well,
And
that's
there is a list that Jeff put together that's got those items on there: envelope, HVAC, life safety. The fact that life safety issues are important to address too. And then when the code compliance kicks in, that's when it really goes off the rails with cost.
And the other thing is that, ignoring the leaks, that's, we know that's not gonna be a good thing because, then we're gonna end up with issues like mold, and then it becomes a bigger problem. So, you could ignore those items, sure, but then it comes out to be a bigger problem later on. So that's, and also the, even the boiler, a lot of these items are hitting their life expectancy. I built my house myself, and I've replaced my roof, I've replaced my boiler. This stuff wears out. I mean, it happens in regular people's houses, and this is a school that has been around since '56. So, it's this stuff that just plain old needs to be replaced.
Yeah, just to chime in real quick. Just to chime in real quick too, we've already had to replace, where we've had that cast iron, waste pipe already leak over one of our classrooms. We already had to replace all of the furniture, and that teacher was pregnant too. So we had to, once again, not be able to use that room. We had to have it offline. And then it leaked again the day before school. So we never know what we're walking into. And that pipe leaks for long enough, there's going to be more damage to that. We're lucky that somebody caught that early too. So that's already happened to us twice in less than a year.
You need to highlight that, right? That's a point I'm trying to make is if this doesn't get approved, right, what do we come into town meeting in May with an override for how much to fix, the items at the high school? I think you need to present that fact of we've already got issues, right? People can poo-poo it, but I think you need to paint the case for, this is what it's gonna start to cost us next year in comparison.
And that's the 10-year phase. We know what the first year on that was. I just don't remember what it was off the top of my head, but that 10-year phased first year number is the immediate. I don't know if it's prioritized because that fit the plan the best, for cost for spend, or if it's the absolute most important needs. But we do have a number for that first year right off the bat, and then every 2 years after that until it comes in around 80 something million.
Yeah,
Well, it does, but the point I'm trying to make is, that's the whole punch list if it gets done, but that's pending approvals, right? That's pending voter approvals of that, which may or may not happen, right? But there's some price tag that's going to happen, guaranteed to happen in 3 to 5 years, I'll say, as an example, that I think we need to contrast this project versus, really impending guaranteed costs.
Well, you probably should prioritize life safety, health over comfort. And, I understand that HVAC might be an issue, but you're going to have a lot of people saying that that's a comfort issue and not that you can go ahead and teach through that. You can go ahead and learn through that. And, you're going to have a certain group of the community saying that, when I was a kid, I didn't have HVAC, I didn't have air conditioning, whatever. But you can't skip out on the fire alarm system. You can't skip out on something like Principal Nash was talking about, where you have a leaky pipe. All of a sudden, you have to shut down the room. You have a pregnant teacher that all of a sudden might have some health issues. So those are the kinds of things I think you should focus on. And those are the kinds of things that are going to be the priorities to fix, to clean up over the next however many years.
Yeah, and I say to the people who say, I went to school in this kind of weather, no, you didn't. We used to have snow days when I was a kid. We haven't had snow days in 4 years. We've canceled more days of classes because of extreme heat than snow. So to me, HVAC is important, as everything is, as we're saying. It's all important.
Yeah, so Jeff, if you could put together a little bit of a punch list of probably not May, because we have to have time to engineer it and study it, but a year from now, we'll be coming back asking for this list, to do the most pressing things. And you've already got them all, so we can, you and Rich and the committee or whoever, a subset, can decide what should be on that list just to make it the first ask. And it's going to be sizable. It's not going to be an inexpensive ask. The only thing that people are thinking is, maybe I'll move out before we get to year 7, and I'll save a little something. But I don't know. That's my thought on it. Get together a reasonable list and get ready to present.
Yep, that makes sense. And I'm just looking at the website too. That we had the existing conditions page. That one hasn't really been updated for the last year and a half. Like I had updated the other ones. Like the things can be broken down to a greater level of detail than what I'm hearing here, right? So I think I can work with Matt from TAP A, and we can make sure we kind of go back and relook at that list. We have the 10-year master plan in terms of what we're going to do, and start to kind of write some narratives around that, just so it's there on the website. We can kind of point people there.
All right. Well, I think we've discussed a lot. I think that if anyone has any other thoughts, obviously you can send it forwards to myself or Diane or Jeff, or to bring other points up that we should be thinking about. But I think we're on the right path. All right, so I think Jeff, we're done with you for now. And unless you want to stay and listen to us approve invoices and minutes.
No, I just need you to approve the minutes, because I got to get those to the MSBA. They're asking for them.
Right.
But
I'm not going to stick around for minute approval or bills. So
Okay.
enjoy your evening.
Great,
Bye,
thank
Greg.
you.
TAP A team can leave too if you want.
Good evening.
Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.
Have a good night.
All right.
Okay, do you want to start with invoices, Rich?
Let's do minutes and then Jeff can get out of here too.
Okay. So we have minutes from August 13th, August 20th, and August 25th.
13th, 20th, and 25th. Okay. Jeff, you want us to, how do you want us, can we approve them all as once?
Yeah, if you want to approve them all as written, they need to be approved, then I have to take this, I have to get a certified copy of the one where you guys voted 125 million. So
Yeah,
I
you did
need to get
this
those
meeting. All right.
certified.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes of August 13th, 20th, and 25th as written.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. I'm gonna do it by roll call. Diane?
Yeah, aye.
I'm an aye. Robin?
Yes.
And Shayna?
Yes.
And Al, wherever Al is.
Yes.
Okay, there you are, sorry. And I'm an aye. So it passed unanimously.
One thing in that for Robin and Shayna,
Yeah, we weren't at the meeting that one of them was.
no, that's my point was going to be on August 13th, we voted the proprietary items, but technically this body is not an elected body, so I will need the school committee to vote the proprietary items at some point. So I'll need a cleanup vote from your group on that. So we'll send that over to you, and you can kind of add it to one of your upcoming agendas.
Okay.
It's all the technology stuff that IT wanted to be proprietary.
Okay, great. Yeah, just send it over and we can put it on our next meeting.
Is there a time sensitivity, Jeff?
No, at some point the MSBA is going to ask for it. You know,
Okay.
it's not. I mean, if the next 2 or 3 meetings is fine, just before we get to their vote in
Great.
October.
All right, and Kim, if you want to bring up the invoices, if you don't mind.
Yep.
I think our next meeting is October 7th. Is that too late? Jeff?
Nah, it should be all right. They're
Yeah.
going to ask for it. I'll just say it's in process.
Okay.
All right,
So
so I make a motion to approve an invoice from TAPA for professional services for the month of August for the amount of $52,500.
Second.
All right, motions have been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
All right, passed unanimously. All right. Next item on the agenda would be a invoice for our Vertex for professional services for the same thing for the month of August for the amount of $47,482, $47,482.25.
Second.
All right, motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, and motion passed unanimously. And I believe that was it. Yep. Okay, good. All right, well, appreciate everyone's time as usual. And we're starting to get into the fun part of it, so it should get interesting coming up real soon. So anyhow, with that, I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All right, motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, good night, everybody. Thanks
Good
again.
night. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Night.
Night.